Give me just a moment. Let's put in some pods. There we go. Let's get my mic over here. Get focus. Focus my face. There it is. What's up, everybody? Let's get this going. Happy Friday, by the way. It's going to be a good weekend. Fridays are always exciting, right? Very cool. Let's see. Somebody said muted. No sound. Wait, hold on. Hold on. How are you doing, Instagram? Can you hear me now? How are we doing? Someone say, yes, I can hear you. All right. What's up, everybody? What's going on YouTube? Ahmad, yes. Ahmad, you are the first one on YouTube. Mario, how was your day? My day's been good. Just spending a lot of time in React. I've been building a Slack clone app, and so I've been working with React and sockets and using Node and Mongo for the backend. So yeah, my day's been fun. What's going on, Ahmed? What's up, Abdel? Brian, hello. Let's see. Welcome, everybody on YouTube. Great to have you here. Welcome, Instagram. Who do we have here on Instagram? All right. We have Machavareson, Jowlis Song. Great to have you here. Jose Manu. Yes. Perfect programmer. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jason, by the way. Jason with DevSlopes. I'm a full stack engineer at DevSlopes. I love to code. I code stuff. I make coding tutorials, stuff like that. So anyways, if you guys have questions about getting started with coding, learning to code, different technology stacks, freelance jobs, go ahead and ask away. Jose Manu says, happy Friday. Heck yes, it is definitely a happy Friday. What's going on at Prathamesh? Yeah, Kevin Ferron. Okay, perfect. Yep, everybody can hear me. Love it. All right. Yeah, let's see what we got going in the chats. Let me scroll down here just a little bit. Checking out Instagram, YouTube. I will get to you in a moment. All right, so let's see. Who's this? Kim Amaleo. When you attack a project, do you work with agile principles? Yeah. I mean, most of the time. So when I was a full stack engineer over at Dell, yes, everything we did was based on this agile process. That's what we did at Dell. Very structured. When you're kind of working on smaller projects, I mean, it's not like you're throwing agile out the window. There are still approaches that you take with it, but it's a little bit more loosey-goosey. I guess it also depends on the team as well. Let's see. What else do we have? Hey, Daphneg 87, first time here. Welcome. Stoked to have you here. Let's see. Iruo, about to graduate computer science. What do you recommend for self-learning? So if you're already getting a computer science degree, I'm going to imagine that you've got some depth, right, in programming knowledge. From what I know, I never went and got a computer science degree. I'm self-taught 100%. From what I know from friends and family who have gotten computer science degree, it's a lot of depth and like very, 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 very little hands-on experience. If you're still looking for self-learning, which a lot of computer science graduates do, you can do the tutorials on YouTube and stuff. Like there's stuff like that, but the reality is you don't want to spend your whole life in tutorials. There's a time where, you know, the cub has to leave the den, right? Get out on your own, you know, throw yourself into the fire and start building your own projects. That's the best thing that you can do, is start building personal projects, because it's going to teach you how to problem solve and think programmatically about different things. So yeah, just make sure you don't spend all your time in tutorials. Let's This is my first, let's see, this is my first year doing a bachelor in computer science, and we just started with C language. Is that a good language to begin with? So here's the thing about college, okay? C is a good language, but you also have to consider like what type of software is built with C. Is that even what you want to be doing? Because college is just going to teach you C. All right, that's just what they do because they've been doing it for 20 years. And it's, I mean, there's different tech stacks that are the right job for the right project. And so if you want to work with C and those are the type of projects you want to be building, great. But if you're more interested in building iOS apps or Android apps or mobile web, things like that, or just web development in general, no, C is not a good language to start with. It's going to be a complete waste of time. But choosing the college path, you're just going to be spoon-fed whatever they're dishing out, right? Not necessarily whatever lines up with your programming goals. And on top of that, one thing to consider is they're not going to prep you for the job industry. They're not going to teach you what you need to know to be successful in the job market. And so don't just count on a computer science degree. You're going to have a lot more self-study and, you know, investing in yourself with additional skills to be successful in the job market. All right, I'm at 0496, planning to get into coding. Which programming should I go with first? Total beginner. Hey, that's super awesome. Kudos to you for getting into programming. Everybody's got to start somewhere. So I would pick your technology stack based on what it is you want to do. All right, so if you want to do iOS or like iPhone development, iOS development, then you're going to do Swift. If you're going to do Android development, you're going to do Kotlin, web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then you're going to use a framework like React or Angular, or there's others, obviously. But that's going to be that your path, what you want to do with programming is going to determine what tech stack you should learn. Now, one thing that's really cool is if you want some more structure or guidance with this whole learning process, because I'm a self-taught developer, I know how easy it is to get lost and frustrated and not have the support that you need, and how hard it is to stay motivated sometimes. Here at DevSlopes, we have the DevSlopes Academy, and you'll have mentoring, coaching, someone to review your code, let you know if it's good or not, give you tips. We do all the career coaching, job prep. We work with you to land freelance projects and to get jobs. I mean, we take you from A to Z, 100% from beginner to paid developer. So you can go to devslopes.com/apply to check that out if you want additional code support. But you can definitely start for free on YouTube or other learning resources. John says, oh, John. Yeah, right. I'm the mullet man, not the... All right. Hello from Turkey. Hey, welcome. What's up? First EPWC, something like that. What is your education? So self-taught developer, finished high school, and then I got into, you know, working with startups and building companies. I did 10 years in regional sales management and training, and then decided I was just done with, you know, talking to a lot of people and just wanted to code, put headphones on and just zone out into code. And so self-taught developer, and I went from, you know, beginner developer, ended up as a full stack engineer at Dell. I was at Dell for several years until I switched and came here to DevSlopes, and now I'm teaching here at DevSlopes. So no computer science degree, nothing, just self-taught and living the developer dream. All right, I'm gonna hop over here to YouTube for a minute. Let's see what's going on, everybody. Mario, welcome. Mario, welcome. Ahmad, welcome. Samuel, welcome. Okay, Samuel asks, I am doing well with my studies, but still haven't been getting my hands dirty. What's your advice? I don't know what's holding me back in getting my hands dirty. So you just got to dive in and start building projects. So I don't know what tech stack that you're working with, but do a Google search like best full stack projects to build in React or iOS or Android, whatever. And there's going to be a slew of tons of different projects. Now, here's the thing. You're probably going to find a lot of tutorials how to build these projects, but don't go with the tutorial. Just try to build the project on your own and then do the problem solving. Like, I don't know how far along you are in your coding adventure, but what I would do is start with projects. Like, for an example, build the Slack app. Build a clone of the Slack app. Do something where users are going to have to create an account, like register, create an account, log in. So there's going to be authentication. You can add channels. You can type messages. You're also going to want to implement something like live events. So, you know, when you're typing in Slack and if you're in the same channel with someone, it says at the bottom, like so-and-so is typing a message. And then when they type it, it shows up in everybody's chat, right? Well, you can use something like sockets. There's Socket.io, which keeps this open line of communication from your client side to the back end. And so that way you can do real-time messaging and adding channels, and it's really cool. So look into projects like that and see how far along you can get without having to resort to tutorials or anything. But building projects is going to be the fastest way for you to grow as a developer, because you've got to be able to push yourself and think on your own and not depend on a tutorial to do all that stuff for you. Rami, when should I start learning the back end? Planning to be a full stack freelancer. Rami, that's a great question. Are you doing iOS development, web development, Android? If you are, for an example, doing web development, say that you're doing the, like working with React or whatever, for an example, a really easy transition into the backend is working with Node.js. Node allows you to write server-side code or write JavaScript on the server. So you don't need to learn any crazy backend language like PHP or Python or anything else. You can just do it all in JavaScript, something that you're familiar with. And it's actually a really smooth, easy transition into the backend, especially if you're coming from web development. Just transition using Node, and then you'll use Express and then Mongo for the backend. So it's not as difficult as a process as you might think. And then if you're doing iOS or like mobile development, iOS or Android, Firebase is always a good integration. It plays very, very nicely with mobile development. It has a very intuitive API. So Firebase or Firestore from Google is awesome. Dennis, what is the best tech stack for freelance? PHP plus WordPress or JavaScript plus React.js? So that's a great question. So here's something to consider is when you're freelancing, time is money. All right. It's great to be a full stack engineer and to implement custom solutions like using React and JavaScript and maybe, Node and Mongo for the backend, something like that. WordPress also has its time and its place. So I used to do a lot of freelance work. When somebody needed a custom solution, all right, like an actual piece of software, all right, I would usually go to the MERN stack, which is Mongo, Express, React, and Node. Okay, that's what I did for custom software. Now, if this client had maybe an e-commerce store or some type of an other landing page that needed to be updated frequently, I would actually do it in WordPress, because I didn't have to maintain the site. I don't have to build it from scratch. I can use a template. The client can log in to the portal through WordPress, has a nice, pretty interface, and can update stuff on their own. I hate maintaining projects. Like once I build a website, I just want to be done with it and move on to the next project. And so it depends on the client. Time is money. And if you can build the same thing using a template versus building it from scratch from React, it's going to take you 10 times longer doing it a custom solution. So it really just depends on the job. Completely. Looks like, hold on, YouTube's having some trouble here. All right, YouTube, I'm back. So with another thing with freelance is I was saying that React is not good at all with SEO because it's a single page application. Everything reads from the index file in a React app, which if you look at that index file, All it is a div tag with an ID of like root or app or something. And then all the components are rendered through that. So that doesn't give Google or any search engines anything to tap into or hook into. And so if you do want to build a custom solution using React, I would highly recommend using like Next.js or Gatsby, because you still have the flexibility of React and building in components, but then it generates everything to a static website in the end. So it's fantastic for SEO and stuff like that. That's what DevSlopes did. We just redid our website. So I just finished building it, over 9,000 lines of code, handwritten code, 9,000 lines. Go check out devslopes.com. That's our new DevSlopes 2.0 website we launched because we suffered the same thing. It was originally built in React. Our SEO tanked, and so we rebuilt the website using Next.js. So now it's all static, which is fantastic. So go check it out, devslopes.com. All right, what else do we have here? I'm still checking out YouTube, Instagram. I'll circle back to you. Let's see, Ahmed, I finished HTML and CSS and now implement projects. Should I move into JavaScript or continue doing projects on HTML and CSS? You should definitely move into JavaScript. The reality is, like, yes, you'll kind of take a break from HTML and CSS for a little bit as you get the fundamentals down with JavaScript. All right, like learning about variables and loops and conditionals, things like that. But once you learn those basics, you're going to tie everything back around to HTML and CSS, because JavaScript is going to allow you to build interactive UIs. All right, and JavaScript is where all the money and the opportunities is. Like, it's very rare that anybody would hire a person just for HTML and CSS, and I'm sure that's probably not the direction you're going into. I mean, you're bringing up JavaScript because you want to venture down that road, but if you're good with HTML and CSS and you got the basics down, dive into JavaScript ASAP, because that's the biggest learning hurdle, and you're going to want to spend the rest of your learning doing things in JavaScript, and HTML and CSS is going to continue to be perfected down the road as you continue with JavaScript. Let's see. Hey, what do you think of Spring frameworks in terms of the job market? You know what? I have no experience with that. I know there's a Spring and oh my gosh, it's Spring and Boot. What's it called? What's the other? There's the other tech that goes with Spring. Spring and Reboot. Here, I have to Google this. One moment. Is it Spring and Reboot? I'm probably so off. No, I think it is. Yeah, it's Spring and Reboot. Okay. Anyways, I don't know what the job market's like. I know the job market for different tech stacks is going to vary based on city and location. But again, when you're looking at Spring, the Spring frameworks and such, like, just kind of dive into what type of projects are being built with Spring, and if that's something of interest to you, because that should be determining what kind of tech stacks that you want to learn. What is your opinion about iOS 15? You know what? I haven't worked with iOS 15 yet. So I've done iOS development before, nothing that's gone to production, but I have built a handful of apps, iOS apps. I haven't done anything in iOS 15 yet. It's probably been about almost 2 years since I've done anything in iOS. So I do not have an opinion. Let's see. Dennis asks, does web market oversaturated? Is the web market oversaturated these days? Many people are interested in web coding. So is it a big competition? I would say there's still such a high demand for web developers. Like, I know what you mean by being oversaturated. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily being a conflict with the job market, though. I mean, one thing I guess that you can take into consideration is because there is so many web developers and so many web development opportunities in that industry, the companies can be a little bit more picky. on like, whereas like iOS development is more of a niche market where it's like, you know, stumbling across an iOS developer is way more rare. And so iOS companies looking for these type of developers are, you know, they work with whatever they can get, more or less. But I wouldn't say that the web market is so oversaturated that there's no opportunity. There's so much opportunity in all the web development or all development markets right now. What else do we have here? Is Flutter the fastest road to get a freelance job? It's a fantastic way to do freelance job. Like if you're looking to do cross-platform mobile development, Flutter is a fantastic choice. It's a really fun framework to work with. And like I mentioned, it's cross-platform. So yeah, Flutter is cool. All right, I'm going to hop over here to Instagram. Let's check out what's going on here. How much time do we have? We have about 7 minutes left. What else do we have? Sir, how can I start learning graphic design? YouTube. Search for a graphic design tutorial. I'm a developer, not a designer, so, but I know you can find tutorials on anything on YouTube. Jala's Song asks, I tried joining your Android Academy, but wasn't able as a 30-day challenge was not available. Well, Jal, you can join the Android Academy without doing the 30-day challenge, but you are right. Our 30-day challenge, we have it for iOS and or Swift and JavaScript right now. We are planning on opening up the Android, like the Kotlin 30-day challenge. That's just still in the process of being put together. But you can go to devslopes.com/apply and check out the Android Academy and then set up a free career coaching call with one of our career planners. Let's see. As a beginner, should I learn jQuery or not? I wouldn't say jQuery is a necessity. Like jQuery in the beginning solved a lot of problems for DOM manipulation that JavaScript wasn't able to accomplish yet because the API was very premature at that time. Now the JavaScript API has come a long ways, and you can almost more or less use vanilla JavaScript and do the same things that jQuery can accomplish. But I would take a focus, like if you're thinking jQuery, which is a front-end DOM manipulation library, I would consider things like React or Vue, and because that's a much more modern technology to work with. Now, I'm not saying jQuery is obsolete. There are plenty of projects that are using jQuery under the hood, but I would say once you learn some of these other front-end techs like React or Vue.js, that when the time comes, if you need to learn jQuery to do whatever you need to accomplish, it's very easy to do a Google search, read through some documentation, and figure it out. jQuery has really nice syntax to it. It's pretty easy to figure out. Python or Kotlin, which is good? Well, they both have entirely different purposes. So Kotlin is, Android development, and then Python you can use on the back end or for scripting. And so they both accomplish different things, and they're both good. Let's see. I'm at 0496. Thanks for the answer. By the way, my sis recommended me to your Instagram page. She's a painter and started her coding journey watching your videos. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. That's amazing. That's really cool to hear. Really cool. Look, it's Timon. Oh yeah, you're the one that I thought your username said, look, it's mom. The other day, maybe that was yesterday. I forget. My weeks blur together. From self-taught to your first job with Dell, how long did it take? So my first job wasn't working at Dell, but from a beginner to ending up at Dell, let's see, 3 years. 3 years is what it took. So after 12 weeks of doing self-teaching, I took on just a random contract project with the company. It was a 3-month contract job. I was just doing whatever I could to get my foot in the door with something. I really wanted to land a job, but 12 weeks as a self-taught developer, that's still pretty newbie status. So I took on this contract position. It was way over my skill set. So anyways, I had to subcontract somebody else to help me finish the project, but it was good experience. But then it kind of gave me a gauge of where I stood as a web developer and what tech stacks I needed to learn and what additional things I needed to build up my skills in. And then, yeah, I started doing a lot of freelance work. That was, I was able to take more of an incremental step into building a portfolio, and then had a few other dev positions, and then ended up with Dell 3 years later. What's your annual income? Well, let's just put it this way. It is very common as a junior web developer, as your very, 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 very first job, whether it's computer science degree or self-taught, it's very common for your first job to pay around probably between 65 and 75,000 a year for your very first job. And then after 3 years of coding, if you're not making 100,000 or more, you probably should be negotiating your salary or find someone else to pay you that salary. But that's after 3 years. You should be making 100K or more. That's very, very doable for sure. For sure. What tool do you use for coding? So I guess you could say I'm a MERN stack developer, Mongo Express, React, and Node. So a lot of the stuff I do is primarily in React. I also use TypeScript. I've done GraphQL. What other technologies? There's more technologies I used when I was at Dell as well. So, but the MERN stack is primarily what I work with. Let's see, Academy is good or YouTube for learning C++. So hash mutual lahederi. If you're learning C++, I mean, that's fine. If you're learning C++, I don't know where you stand with your experience as a developer. Just know that C++ has an insanely steep learning curve to it, even for somebody with experience with developing, a seasoned developer. The DevSlopes Academy does not teach C++. C++ has its time and its place. If you want to do embedded systems and build robots, then yeah, go do C++. If you're looking to do web development, C++ is way like overkill. If you want to work on AAA games like Call of Duty and all these other crazy things that need insanely fast performance, then yeah, do C++. But other than that, other than AAA games, embedded systems, and like robots like robots for Mars, right? Rovers and things. C++ is like the only thing that I can think of that would be really useful is those categories. Everything else can be simplified with an easier tech stack. Let's see, Kashya Prupesh, please suggest roadmap for full stack developer. You know, I actually did a YouTube video on this. They usually drop every Friday. I don't know if it's dropped or not. I know I did it on a video for TikTok, but the most clearest direct path, I'm going to summarize it from the YouTube video I did. The most simplest direct path that I can give you is learn the core basics, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, choose a front-end technology like React or Vue, and then after that, start thinking full stack development. So you can dive into Node, which is awesome because you're already familiar with JavaScript. You don't have to learn anything new for the backend. And then you just include Express and Mongo for the backend, and boom, full stack developer. But on top of that, you've got to break out of those tutorials. But if you really want like the fast track, go to devslopes.com/apply. I'm actually the mentor and coach for the Web Academy. So I will literally work with you personally to learn web development. I'll take you from beginner to full stack engineer, and I'll review your code. We have weekly live meetups, and yeah, you can talk with me every single day, and I will give you tips and feedback and help you with any coding questions that you have. And I will even go to the extent to guarantee that you will land freelance work or a paid, developer position with some job. Like that's what I do from beginner to paid. So devslopes.com/apply. I will personally work with you until you hit those goals, period. Let's see, what can I develop myself to master React? There's so many things you could code. E-commerce stores, to-do apps are some of the simpler ones you could do. You could build a clone of an app like Slack, Twitter, Discord, a chat app is really popular to do. Let's see, you could build, what else? I've seen like battleship games. I've seen calculator apps. There's so many projects you can build with React. Just Google it. Best React projects to build for beginners. LOL, look, it's mom. I love it. I love it. Okay. Oh my gosh. I could talk forever. We're past the half-hour mark here, but that's okay. I'm going to take a few more questions, and then I'm going to let you all go so you can have a fantastic weekend and hopefully get some coding in. All right. React Native versus Flutter versus native dev. That's a really good question. React Native works. It's a little bit, what's the word I'm trying to look for? React Native is, I don't want to say trapped, but the word I'm looking for is React Native has its own way of doing things, and you're kind of limited on the way you can do things. And then once you go React Native, you can never go back. Like once your app starts on that, it's like you're set in stone because of how specific things in React Native are. Now, React Native is, I like it. It has a really clean syntax. It reminds me of iOS development in the sense that the components that you're using are very similar to what you would use as, like if you're doing iOS development, dragging and dropping different elements onto the view controller. React Native is a pain in the flippin' butt to get up and going with. So many problems. Like I was doing a demo app I built the same app in React Native and Flutter, and it took me like 5 hours of setup to get a React. Okay, I'm exaggerating on that. It took me like 3 hours of setup to get a dang React Native app running to build an app that took me like 45 minutes. Whereas Flutter, I was up and running within 10 minutes and could immediately start coding. And then native is good. It's going to be native to the platform, but you have to think about, do you want your app to be on like iOS and Android and web? Well, React Native and Flutter are awesome for that because it's a cross-platform tool. So it's all one code base, and then it deploys to these other platforms. Whereas native, it's fantastic. Usually there are performance gains for going native, but if you're on iOS and Android and web, you have 3 different code bases that you have to keep up with. I mean, here's a perfect example. So the Amazon Kindle Fires, are they called the Kindle Fires? I think they are. The App Store, those apps that are on iOS and Android, like nobody wants to spend time keeping up the code base for the App Store on like the Kindle Fires, even though there's a fairly good market for the Kindle Fire, but it's just a pain. And so if you're doing cross-platform, maybe stick with React Native or Flutter. Mario asks, computer science or software engineering, which are the main differences between those two? Are you talking about, I mean, they go hand in hand. Are you talking about a data scientist or like a computer science degree? So software engineering, obviously you're going to be coding. Computer science, I'm gonna guess that you're maybe talking about like data science, but it's more of the, obviously the data side of things, the back end, but you still have to know the coding side of things. You're doing more data analytics with as a data scientist. Computer science, it might be the same thing. I'm not sure if the term is in conjunction with one another. What should I start to gather money in order to start programming? Well, you can start programming for free. So I don't know if you have a computer or not. So if you start web development or Android, oh, hold on. All right. Hey, Instagram, the internet here, I guess, sucks. So anyways, you can start for free coding. If you don't have a computer, see if you can borrow one from friends or family. If you're going to do a Windows computer, you can get going with web development and Android. If you have an Apple computer, you can start doing iOS, Android, and web. You can do anything you want on a Mac. And Macs out of the box, just, they ship more dev friendly. They're just ready to start coding out of the box. Windows, there's a lot more setup to get your coding environment up and running. But I mean, once it's set up and you're good. There's just more setup. At Dell, I used Windows. It was fine. But I'm so grateful to be using my MacBook again here at DevSlopes coding. Let's see. All right, what else do we have here? What do I need to do to master the front end? Are you talking about web? If it's web development, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, choose a front end technology like React or Vue. If you're doing iOS, go for Swift. If you're doing Android, go for Kotlin. What should I do as a beginner freelancer to find freelance jobs? Because there is so much competition. There is a ton of competition. You can always start out with Upwork. Upwork is a great place to start. They have tutorials about how to, kind of leverage your profile to get, I guess you could say, more attention, to make it more eye-catchy, and then also had to put together proposals to win clients over. Now, one of the things I did also when I was freelancing, now, I mean, times have changed a little bit with the whole pandemic, but I think we're slowly starting to get out and socialize a little bit. But I always went to networking events. So any type of business or entrepreneurial meetups, that's what I went to. So you can go to meetup.com and then find tons of networking events. And that's usually what I did because I was able to network with business owners, other CEOs, things like that. And, land projects. Let's see, Drew Dude, any recommendation for starting first front-end position? What should I expect and how can I prepare to perform well? So I would go and just Google common front-end development interview questions. That's a good place to start. And you really just got to start applying. Don't worry about, here's the thing, don't worry about finding a junior position though. Don't worry about it. Just if you're doing web development, for an example, just Google or get on Indeed or LinkedIn, wherever, and just look for a web development position. Get that junior keyword out of there. Get the junior keyword off your resume. Just get it off of there. You would be surprised how many companies are open to hiring somebody that isn't a senior developer. For an example, when I got hired at Dell, the requirements to work at Dell for the position that I took was 7 years of JavaScript, 5 years of React. I had 3 years of JavaScript and 1 year of React, and they hired me. They looked at my portfolio of projects. They reviewed my code. I did a tech interview. They were satisfied with the way that I answered the questions, and they hired me. So don't be intimidated by the requirements of the company. If it says computer science degree required, that's bull crap. All right. You don't need a computer science degree. I'm pretty sure on the requirements for Dell, it also said a computer science degree. I don't have one. In the end, all a company wants or a client wants is somebody who can code. Doesn't matter if you have a computer science degree or learn to code at Walmart. All right. If you can code, you can code. That's all they want. That's all they want. All right. So, hey, bro, I'm been in freelance. They want 20 plus projects to give you their work as a beginner. How do you advise us? I think you're asking that they're asking for 20 plus projects of a portfolio. That's insane. That's a ton of projects. Find another client. You have over 20. Let's see. Thoughts on crypto coding opportunities? Oh, Anthony, this is a cool question. I've never had this before. This is going to be exciting. So Anthony Ventola asks, thoughts on crypto coding opportunities. So it's slowly, opportunities are slowly opening up, but it's going to be very, very area specific on those type of opportunities. So off the top of my head, I'm not saying there's loads of opportunity here, but off the top of my head, I know San Francisco and here in Austin, Texas, there is a big crypto or blockchain scene. All right. or bigger than most areas. I'm not saying there's like, oh, everything's blockchain and crypto, but the scene is a little bit bigger here in Austin, Texas, and in San Francisco. I'm sure there's others. If you're getting into the coding side of it, like coding for the blockchain, NEM, like ZEM is the cryptocurrency, NEM is the blockchain. NEM is awesome because everything's done in JavaScript. So you don't have to go and learn some crazy new programming language like with Ethereum, having to learn Solidity, something that's brand new and looks like alien craziness, all right? And by the way, because it is a new tech, there's not a lot of documentation on it. So NEM is absolutely amazing because the API is extracted at a higher level. Everything's in JavaScript. It works so much better with the back end, and you can create your own cryptocurrencies with it. I think they're called mosaics is what NEM uses. So you can create your own mosaic, which is your own form of cryptocurrencies. And it's just awesome. It's awesome. Good question. All right, I'm going to switch over here to Instagram for a second. I'm going to do this for 2 minutes. We're almost at 45 minutes. Unless you guys want to hang out for the rest of the day, and we'll just talk code. Let's see. Can you show me how can I connect Oracle database with PHP? There's absolutely no way I could show you that because I'm on Instagram. But you could Google it. That's a fantastic question to Google. Literally what you just typed there, just put, how can I connect Oracle database with PHP? Let's see, what can I develop myself? A master, oh, I think I answered this one. There's tons of React projects. Let's see. Ramyon Hotel Wi-Fi says, I would apply for DevSlopes, but my broke butt can't afford it. Hey, you know what? I completely understand, but you can still start learning. You can still learn to code for free. Start with things like YouTube, and there's other platforms and services that you can learn for free. But do keep in mind, the DevSlopes Academy, we do have that leg up because we do mentoring, coaching, code reviews, weekly live meetups, all that fun jazz. Plus, you get to work with me. Hello. But anyways, anybody interested in learning to code, want some more structure or guidance, want to, hit the ground running fast and start getting paid fast sooner than later, go to devslopes.com/apply. What is the difference between DevSlopes versus Treehouse? There is a lot of difference between DevSlopes and Treehouse. Treehouse just has a huge slew of coding courses, and I think they have monthly subscription. If I do remember correctly, don't quote me on all of this, okay? I'm trying to remember what I do know about Treehouse, because when I was first learning to code, I did look into Treehouse before I found out about DevSlopes. If I remember correctly, Treehouse also had, I think you could get mentoring, but it was additional. If you wanted to do their courses plus mentoring, it was an additional cost. Plus you had to schedule, you got one hour like Zoom call or something one-on-one with the coach once a week, or maybe it was once a month. Anyways, all that's super complicated. DevSlopes, guided learning path. You get to work with me personally, career coaching, mentoring. You can talk to me every day as much as you want. I have live weekly meetups every single Saturday that you can hop on, ask me questions. We talk code, freelance, tech. You've got a larger community of support. We do career coaching. We teach you how to land freelance work. We work with you until you land freelance work. I can guarantee Treehouse doesn't do that. They're not going to work with you to land freelance projects and to land a job. We're going to help you set up your resume and your LinkedIn. When you go to a coding interview and you fail, you come back to us, talk to us, tell us what happened, what type of questions you had, and then we work with you to set you up for better success for the next interview and the next one and the next one, and as many interviews as it takes until you land a job and get paid, period. And lifetime access. I don't believe Treehouse has lifetime access. It's a monthly, forever, super expensive subscription. But anyways, that's the difference. And I have a mullet. You get to work with somebody who has a mullet, if that means anything. Oh my gosh, I'm going on way too long. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to take the last question in Instagram, which is, let's see, just Kevin or Kelvin Francisco asks, just started JavaScript. How much until I can be job ready? So on average, it takes 6 to 9 months. You got to be working in React. 6 to 9 months is the average. Now, there's people who can do it sooner than that, and there's people that it takes longer than that. Okay, for me, it took probably closer to the 9-10 month mark to understand JavaScript. For some reason, the dots just didn't connect as fast as most people, I would say. But once they did, they connected, and I'm good. So 9 to 10 months. And then, but to be job ready, you have to also understand back-end development. As a front-end developer, you will be expected to know how to work with an API and do all the data binding to get that API to load data into the UI. That's part of the front end. You're not building the back end, but you have to know how to work with it. So at some level, you need to understand back-end development. And then to know when you're job ready, just ask yourself the question, can you build a CRUD app, which is a full stack application, and CRUD stands for create, read, update, delete. So you have to have all those different types of API actions, backend functions. All right, last question in YouTube. I'm sorry, everybody, that I'm skipping over for the last question. Let's see. What is the fastest niche to get a freelance job? I would say web development personally. Mobile development like Android and iOS, a little bit more of a niche market. Everybody could use web development. All right, everybody, that's it. Happy Friday. If you're interested in learning to code and would like to work with me or another mentor and coach and get that type of mentoring, coaching, code reviews, all that fun stuff, go to devslopes.com/apply. I'll type it out here on YouTube. devslopes.com/apply. Oh my gosh, my keyboard went out. No, it didn't. All right, there you go. And then Instagram, devslopes.com/apply. All right, everybody, have a super awesome weekend. Get some coding in and check out devslopes.com/apply if you want to check out our academies. Until next time, I'm Jason with devslopes.com. Stay positive, keep calm, and code on. Adios.